Yeah, it's like as we become more connected to each other, we become more disconnected from ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you know about Neuralink and Elon Musk, how he wants to hook up our brains to computers, pretty much. I actually think that the advent of that technology is going to bring about some, I mean, or has the potential to bring about some of the things that we talked about, like, you know, psychic abilities and being able to reach deeper into our mind at will, rather than taking us away from it. But I mean, it could be used for nefarious purposes as well. But I think we'll be like, that's actually one thing that he said, that we're going to be able to hook up and communicate without talking, which is, that is just doesn't even make any sense. But I think our next evolutionary step, you know, ideally in a perfect world, is that we hook up to computers, and that enables us to go deeper inside of our minds and deeper inside of ourselves, so that we can access that and use it for the right ways, and so we don't have to, you know, go through these crazy yogic adventures that we put ourselves through, and
Yeah,
actually make it a lot easier and more accessible to the population and more people.
yeah,
But I don't know.
yeah. That sounds very Elon Muskish. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes.
I mean, I think there is some validity to that, and but again, there's going to be a ceiling to that. You know,
Mm,
not going to be able to pass that which is unknowable, right?
mm,
Some things are just not knowable by the mind. The mind has limits. So, and no matter how hard you educate yourself or expose yourself to different ideas, it doesn't really matter. No matter how far you can progress in your technology, it's going to hit a ceiling of the mind's own limitations. The mind,
mm,
because the mind is limited by the senses, right? So the mind is composed of the senses. Everything you've seen, heard, touched, tasted, smelled, and perceived otherwise, or inferred otherwise, has a limit. You can't see everything. You don't see every color out there. You don't hear every sound out there. Like I give the example in my teacher trainings, a dog can smell a drop of blood in an Olympic-sized swimming pool, right? A dog
mm,
can smell that. We can't smell a drop of blood in a glass of water. So
mm,
our perception of the world is very limited through our senses.
mm,
When the dog goes outside, they can understand the world in a way that we could never understand. We just
mm,
have that capability, and that's true for every sense. So what we are understanding, what is actually out there, is not what we're looking at.
mm,
What you're looking at and what you're hearing is just a fraction of reality, right? And
mm,
so because of that, we are always going to be limited in our tools because we're not building the right tools to really understand what the world is. We can't see. It's like you're in a dark room and you just have this little narrow spotlight. You're just searching within that spotlight. You don't
yeah.
realize that there's this whole giant cave around you that's always going to be unseen.
Mm,
And so unless you know the self is that cave. The self is that expansive existence.
yeah. And the
And
self is really
and
unknowable.
and the search is always going to continue. The self
Hmm.
is unknowable through the mind. The
Yeah.
search is always going to continue because we have a fraction of it. We're holding on to a fraction.
Mm,
Wish to attain it means that we are it, but not through the mind. The mind is the wrong tool. All
hmm.
digital technology, all the other tools, microscopes, telescopes, all of that is always going to be limited because we're still looking at a very narrow spotlight of what is out there.
Mm,
And we can't talk about it, because there's no way to understand it through words or thoughts.
hmm.
But there is a way to know it, to be it. And the way is presence, right? Presence as in meditative practices in Buddhism, kind of mindfulness to this present moment, right? Moment to moment. Or in the yogic traditions, it's focusing on an object, something that's uplifting, something that's inspiring to you, whether it's a meaningful word like a mantra, whether it's your breath, which of course is meaningful because it sustains you with life, right? You have to breathe, or visualization, right? So like a light in the heart center, everyone has a heart center, everyone has the third eye. So visualizing or doing mantra or doing any kind of form of meditation eventually makes you realize the truth.